This cast iron pizza is crispy and fluffy, topped with melted mozzarella and spicy pepperoni. Pizza night just got a whole lot more delicious. Welcome to Recipes by Karina, where I share with you how to make classic and simply delicious recipes. Make sure to subscribe or follow my page for a new recipe each week. We're going to start by making the pizza dough. Alternatively, you can buy pre-made dough, but this recipe is pretty simple and easy, and the dough rises in the fridge overnight, so it's minimal effort. In a small bowl, measure out 3 grams, half a sachet or 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast. If you would like the full recipe for this cast iron pizza, it'll be on my website as well as the full measurements listed in the description box below. To the yeast, measure out half a teaspoon of sugar. This isn't really a necessity, but it does help quicken the yeast activation. Pour over 2/3 of a cup or 160 ml of lukewarm water. Using a spoon, give the yeast mixture a quick mix together and set to the side for about 5 to 10 minutes or until bubbly and activated. You can either make this dough in a stand mixer or by hand. Both will work, and as we're going to let the dough rise overnight, it doesn't need to be kneaded for 10 plus minutes as most of the gluten formation will happen overnight. Measure out 2 cups or 250 grams of bread flour. You'll notice I give the recipe amounts in metric and imperial, cups and grams, so no matter where you live in the world, you should find this recipe easy enough to follow. Bread flour contains more protein than all-purpose flour, and protein is what develops gluten in bread, giving it that soft, chewy texture. If you don't have bread flour or high-grade flour, you can use standard or all-purpose flour instead. Add about 1 teaspoon of salt to the bowl, along with a couple tablespoons of olive oil. Your yeast should have activated by now. It'll be foamy and bubbly. If by chance it hasn't, check your yeast expiry date, or if it is still in date, you may have used too hot or too cool water. The water should feel just warm, about 37 degrees Celsius or 98 degrees Fahrenheit, which is body temperature. A few degrees below that won't be an issue at all. Pour the activated yeast mixture into the bowl with the flour. Using your stand mixer or a wooden spoon, mix the dough until it comes together. If it looks a little dry, you may need to add more water, or a little too wet and it's sticking to everything, a little bit more flour. All flour will have different hydration levels depending on the brand, how it's stored and how old it is. Because of this, when you are making bread, you may need more or less hydration than what is called for. It should feel sticky, but not stick to your fingers. When the dough has come together and has started to smooth out, about a few minutes or so, add a swirl of olive oil to a medium-sized bowl. Place the dough in the bowl, turning it to coat in the oil. Cover and place in the fridge to rise overnight. Rising the dough in the fridge is my preferred way. You can do it well in advance, up to a few days. The dough gains flavour and the texture is just so much better. Alternatively, you can rise this dough in a warm place for about 45 minutes to an hour until it is doubled in volume. When you are ready to make your pizza, remove the dough from the fridge. Punch it down and use a dough scraper or a knife to divide it in half. This will make 2 bases. Add about a tablespoon of oil to a cold cast iron pan and add your dough. If you don't have a cast iron pan, alternatively you can use a glass pie dish or a sheet pan. Cast iron works the best as it provides such an even heat, but a pie dish or sheet pan both make delicious pizzas, they will just need a longer cooking time. Use your clean dry hands to press the pizza dough out to the edges of the pan. Don't be too worried if you can't get it right to the edge, as when the dough rests, it'll become much more malleable and you can fix it later. Cover your pizza dough so it doesn't dry out and leave it for about 30 minutes to an hour to rest and rise. This will give you enough time to make the sauce and also preheat your oven. Turn your oven on to the highest temperature it'll go. For me, this was 250 degrees Celsius or 480 degrees Fahrenheit. This pizza sauce is so quick and easy to make and much better than the jar stuff. We'll need a blender or food processor. Crush and remove the peel from 2 garlic cloves. This recipe uses one 14-ounce or 400-gram tin of whole Italian tomatoes. Plum or San Marzano are the best to use, but honestly use whatever you can find. You want to drain them so you're just left with the whole tomatoes and not any of the juice they came in. This makes the sauce a lot thicker. Add a good splash of olive oil, about 2 tablespoons worth, and a large handful or about a 1/4 cup of fresh basil. You want to use the stalks here, not just the leaves, as that's where most of the flavour comes from. Season well with salt and pepper and place the lid on. Using your blender or food processor, pulse or blend the sauce for just a few seconds until everything is combined. We want to leave it a little chunky, like you can see, so it's not just a thin, smooth sauce. This sauce makes enough for about 2 to 3 pizzas, so pour about a 1/4 cup's worth onto your resin pizza base. Use a spoon to spread it out as far to the edges as you would like. I leave a little gap for crust, but I want it pretty well covered. Toppings for this pizza are endless, so many different ingredients you can choose. For this pizza, I'm going simple and delicious with mozzarella and pepperoni. Sprinkle over about 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup of freshly shredded mozzarella. I always shred it or grate my own cheese as it melts so much better than the pre-shredded, which is usually coated in starch so it won't stick together in the pack. Top the pizza with sliced pepperoni. It does shrink up in the oven to get quite a few pieces on there. Place your pizza in your preheated oven for about 10 to 20 minutes. All ovens are different, so you're going to go off smell and appearance. It should be golden brown, the cheese melted and the pepperoni sizzling, and it should smell absolutely incredible. My oven went up to 250 degrees Celsius and the pizza took about 12 minutes, but a hotter oven would take a lot less. Let the pizza cool for a few minutes when it comes out of the oven before using a slicer to run around the edge and unstick any cheese from the cast iron. Cut a piece and enjoy. This will become your new favourite pizza. You can see here the delicious crispy brown fluffy base, the melted mozzarella and sizzling pepperoni. It's so much easier than using a pizza stone, and most of the work is done in the fridge overnight. Let me know if you're going to try this recipe and what your favourite pizza toppings are. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.